Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is Wraith here, back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be going over how you guys can start improving your game sense in Fortnite, because there's tons of videos on YouTube, tons of videos I've personally made about how to improve your mechanics, how to get better aim, editing, building, etc. But it's a lot harder to actually improve your game sense overall and become a smarter Fortnite player, whether that's in rotations or just fighting IQ. So if you're looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys is you need to start recognizing your own mistakes and actually start paying attention while you're playing. So many people just play Fortnite and play. Like, they don't do anything focused. They play creative, then they go into arena and they just play the game, right? And sure, if you just want to play the game and have some fun and just play Fortnite, 100% that's okay. If you really want to improve and get especially better game sense, you need to start focusing and really paying attention to every single death that happens, every single fight that happens, every single as much as possible. Basically, you need to pay attention. So for example, if you die in a fight, you can't just leave the game and start up another queue if you're looking to get better game sense and improve as a player. You need to think about as you're leaving and just be like, okay, what did I do wrong there? And I've talked about this in previous videos where so many people just don't really do this, where it's every single death and even after every single fight. Like, if you get hit for 130 or if you do the fight perfectly even, you need to think to yourself and be like, what did I do right that fight? Like, why was it so easy? Did I shoot the person first and then do a beautiful edit on him when he was trying to heal, or did I take his wall, throw a cone in there, edit the cone and shoot him? Like, what did I do that made that fight so easy? And then the same thing goes for when you're death. What happened when you died? Why did you die? If you're just playing the game and every single time you die or win the fight you just move on to the next thing, you don't really think about anything, you don't really think specifically about each individual fight, and you're just playing the game, you're not really going to improve. Once you start focusing on each and every small kind of thing and it actually starts paying attention, you're just be like, hey, maybe I did a bad edit there. Then it's going to be in your head, and the next time you do that, you're in that same play when you're box fighting someone or W keying someone, you're going to be like, hey, if I do that edit again, it's probably not going to work. And if for some reason you do it one more time, you're going to be like, hey, look, I've done this twice in a row. Like, clearly I need to stop doing this edit, which will stay in your mind and you'll stop doing the edit. If you just say, whatever, I died, leave the game, you're just going to continuously keep doing the bad thing over and over again, and eventually you're not going to get that much better because you're just doing the same mistake over and over again, right? So even when you're watching your teammates, look at what they do. Like, instead of just going on your phone or kind of not paying attention, look at what your teammates do. What do they do good? What do they do bad? And you can use that. It's the same thing as VOD review, which I'll talk about later in this video. It's the same thing. You just got to learn and pay attention and actually remember what you're doing. So this next tip, and so many people fail to do this properly, is you need to spend more time playing the game and less time working on mechanics, playing creative, playing aim trainers, etc. Now, for me, and specifically, I push aim trainers. I push creative more than majority of YouTubers on Fortnite. Like, I say, if you really want to improve your mechanics and you want to become a better player, you need to be grinding creative, you need to be grinding aim trainers if you're on keyboard and mouse, you need to be doing specific things outside of the game to improve your mechanics. But the problem with that is so many people will play 2 to 3 hours of creative a day and only 1 hour of actual arena or actual games, right? And to become a well-balanced player and have good game sense, have good mechanics, you can't be doing that. If you really want to become the best player you can, you have to have good mechanics as well as good game sense. And sure, your game sense is going to slowly improve, like your fighting IQ is going to get a little bit better if you're practicing like fighting, like 1v1 box fights, things like that. But if you're just playing aim trainers or working on your aim or just edit maps and things like that, unfortunately your game sense isn't going to be getting better when you're doing that, right? So I'm not saying just completely don't aim train, don't play Kovacs, don't do things like that. Like, don't get rid of it. Like, it's still very solid because you still want to improve and work on your mechanics. But if you're spending too much time in creative and you feel like your game sense is lacking but your mechanics are good, and that's the same thing with the people who struggle in a game but are good in creative, it's because their game sense lacks a little bit. So instead of spending 3-4 hours or even 80% of your time when you play Fortnite, if you only play Fortnite for 2 hours and you're playing an hour and a half in creative, maybe drop that back to only 30 minutes and play a little bit more arena, play a little bit more pubs, play whatever, play Zone Wars, which I'll talk about next, but just play something that isn't just creative and working on your mechanics, because that way your game sense will improve way faster. So the next tip is figuring out what part of your game sense you want to work on and then working individually on that specific thing. So I would say game sense is kind of broken down into 2 different categories. There's game sense during fighting, and then there's game sense during like rotations, end games, when to take a fight, when not to take a fight, things like that, right? And they're kind of, you work on both of the things during a game, but you can specifically work on each individual category by doing different things. So for example, if you want to work on your fighting IQ, like you struggle during fights, you lose a lot of 1v1s, things like that, then I would say you need to start working on like your arena W keying by hopping to arena and just W keying every single person you see, because obviously the more fights you get into, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to realize how people play, what you need to do to beat them, how good you are at taking walls, if you need to work on that a little bit more, if you're making good edits, bad edits, just simple things like that. By fighting more often, the better you're going to be with fighting IQ. It's pretty simple. It's basically the same with everything in life. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it, especially if you're doing it correctly. Another thing you can do instead of just W keying in arena is you could play things like Zone Wars. You could play things like 1v1 box fights or 1v1 build fights. I don't suggest those as much, just because they're a little bit unrealistic. Like, they're not exactly what happens in games. So I would say you want to stick with kind of Zone Wars and arena. Those are like the 2 kind of main categories I would stick with if you're working on your fighting IQ. You can do box fights, you can do 1v1s, but just in my opinion, they're not as good. But yeah, just doing anything that you can basically take more fights, because like I said, the more time you spend taking fights, the more time you actually get in fights and learn about your opponent and learn about things that you wouldn't like. If you're only taking 1 fight per day, you're not going to learn that much. If you're only taking 1 fight per game and you're playing 30 minutes per game, that's 2 fights per hour, right? But if you're in Zone Wars or you're W keying arena and you're getting 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in 30 minutes, you're getting 7 times more experience than if you're only taking 1 fight. Now the next thing is, if you want to work on your rotational game sense, your when to take a fight, when not to take a fight, then that's a little bit different, because that's a little bit harder to do in my opinion. And the best way to do that would be playing things like tournaments, so cash cups, things like that, playing customs for end game, even playing arena, but instead of W keying, just trying to play for late game, which again, it's a little bit unrealistic because people play weird in arena. Some people W key a lot, some people play really scared in arena, so it's not the best way, but it's still a decent way to kind of improve your rotational game sense, as well as like figuring out when to fight, when not to fight. But I'd say the 2 best ways would be playing customs, which if you don't know how to play customs, you join a Discord, and then there'll be people like join a Discord for your server, whether it's NA and in East, Europe, whatever. There's definitely Discord servers, and then playing customs in those, or like I said, cash cups. If you really want to work on your rotational game sense, when to take fights, when not, etc., I would say play every single cash cup in every single tournament that you possibly can. Now my next tip, and if you guys are a big fan of the channel and you've watched a bunch of videos, you already know I'm going to say this. It's basically the best way to improve game sense, and in my opinion, improve overall as a player. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, even if you watch my videos, still don't do this consistently, and it's just hindering you so much. I guarantee if you're doing this properly and doing it often, you will become a way better player. And it's VOD reviewing, and that's VOD reviewing your own style, your own gameplay, as well as pro player VOD review. I think both of them are just as beneficial in different ways. If you guys don't know how to VOD review, I've made videos on it before, but basically you watch gameplay, whether it's your own gameplay or whether it's a pro gameplay, and you can do simply just watching it and trying to realize and remember what they did, what pro players did wrong, what they did right, things that you can implement into your own gameplay, or watching your own gameplay, same thing, what you did wrong, what you did right. I personally recommend having like a piece of paper or a notepad beside you, or Word even open, and kind of writing down a couple things you notice. I think that's way better to basically understand and remember it, because if you're just watching it, you're probably not going to remember every single detail you're taking in. So in my opinion, writing it down is way better. But if you really want to push your game to the next level, become better, become smarter as a player, I've talked about this in previous videos. In my opinion, VOD review is by far the absolute best way to absolutely push yourself way faster than what you would if you're doing anything else. Because like I said, you can fight as much as you want, but if you're not learning from fighting, if you're not picking things up, which sure you can do that by just thinking about after the fight, but if you're actually VOD reviewing and writing things down, you're going to remember it a lot more. You're just not going to get better. So if you don't VOD review, if you don't kind of watch and learn and figure out what you're doing wrong, or what you should be doing, or what you are doing right, you're probably not going to become that much better, unfortunately. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap a like button on it, hit that subscribe button, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.